Hey everybody out there in Facebook land. It's been a while since I've done a live video, and I thought this would be a good way. I've had several people asking me about homeschooling and how to school at home right now. I know a lot of people are getting work from teachers and doing online videos and stuff like that. And I've been homeschooling my kids for 10 years now, and so I thought it would be a good idea to come on here and just kind of share just some tips with you guys. Like nothing like super like intense or anything. I think the first thing, especially with everything that's going on right now in the world, to just make sure that you just breathe, okay? As somebody, I suffer from anxiety myself, and so I know how stressful this can be right now. We're just unsure of what's going on, and so I thought it would be, just first step, just breathe. Just breathe in, just breathe out. And secondly, I just don't be afraid to have your homeschool environment look different than a traditional school. Like I see a lot of people talking about they're stressing out because they're having to come up with like a certain set schedule. They're trying to figure out how to incorporate everything in their day, and that's not something that you really have to worry about, okay? The biggest thing to do right now is to make sure that your house is an environment of learning. Like you're just learning all the time. Like you're just like, hey, what happened here? Like now, especially with like the internet, we have like a wealth of information at our fingertips. So we can the kids can be like watching a movie and be like, what happened here? Like, why did they wear that outfit in England? Oh, let's get on Google and let's go find it. Like that's a big part of just learning things and teaching the kids where to look too, like where to find information, how to Google, most of the kids I think know that already. I know. My 6-year-old says he knows. Yeah, so just create an environment of learning. And as far as like those schedules and things go, you don't have to be super rigid, and it doesn't have to fit within like the same time frame. I've seen a lot of people like trying to create the same amount of hours at school. Schooling is not the amount of hours you put into it, okay? A lot of times schools, like public schools and private schools, do that because they have a bunch of different kids. So they have, say, 30 minutes for spelling or something like that. Well, my kids can copy their spelling list and know it pretty well in about 15 minutes. They don't need the whole 30 minutes. And that's something that you can do at home, too. Figure out how long they need to do something. If they're picking up stuff really quick, like you don't have to keep drilling it over and over again. You can just be like, okay, cool, let's move on to something else, or let's be done for the day. And also, like, they don't have to have activities all day long. Like, boredom will feed creativity. Like, they'll have to figure out something to do. That's not always a good thing. Sometimes they do things they shouldn't do when they're bored. But it also helps them learn to be creative. And like, most of my kids, when they're bored, they end up creating some kind of, like, art. Or, like, my daughter, Taylor, will crochet something, or she'll build something out of Legos. So you could say, okay, go in your room and build something out of your Legos if your kids are like Lego fiends like mine. My kids absolutely love Legos. You do too. Stop saying you don't love Legos. But you love to create art, and you love to draw pictures. They love to copy pictures like out of their books. So you can do lots of things. I think one of the biggest thing to do right now is really have lots of time together. If you're working from home, that's a little bit harder because you do have to get tasks and assignments and things done at the same time. But don't be afraid to kind of think outside the box. Today we did school on the couch. So, you don't have to sit at the table and have everybody seated. Although it might be something fun to do too. Have everybody dress a certain color, like a uniform. I've seen a lot of people doing that. They have uniforms and they named their homeschool, even though they're just doing work from school and they're not actually technically homeschooling. But it still was fun for them. It was a way for them to bond as a family. So there are lots of amazing resources online too that are free. Any Google search will show you those. If you guys need specific ones for specific subjects, just please feel free to comment below or message me or something. But one of my favorites for math is called extramath.org. It's an extra math, not with an E on the front of it. And it's basically like flashcards online. So they do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and basically they have it's like flashcards. They'll pop up 1 plus 2, and they have to answer it, and they have the next one, 3 plus 1. They have to answer it as fast as they can within a certain amount of time. So it's like doing flashcards. My kids absolutely love it. It'll keep track of it for you. You sign up, and then you can add each student, and then it'll send you like progress reports in your email, so you'll know where they are. Everyone they get right gets like a smiley face, and my kids love to see how many smiley faces they can get in a day. Or a check mark, Levi says. So see, he likes it. Do you want to share anything about that on the video? No. But yeah, just remember to breathe, and remember that it can be casual. It can be a little less like strenuous as regular school. I'm not sure. Shauna I don't know if you remember her, Levi, but Shauna says hi. Let's see. Say hi.
Hi.
He's finishing up his math right now. See, he's doing his math. And that's where we did school today. We just did school on the couch this morning. We sat next to each other. When he was time for reading, he just scooted over into my lap and we read together. And then he did the book work. We went over things together. We looked up some things on the computer that we were curious about in his reading for school. So it can be pretty simple. Just my biggest tip is create an environment of learning. If they're interested at all, they're like, well, what about this? Just do a quick Google search. Look for something up on YouTube. It's pretty simple to do in that regard nowadays with all of the information that's at our fingertips. And I know some libraries are closing, but if you're able to get anything from the library, I know our library here, the one that we go to in Scottsdale, has drive-up services, so we can pick up our books that way. So that I don't know if the ones in, I know a lot of you are in Alton and Godfrey. I don't know if they're doing that there, or if Coos Bay, several of you are in Coos Bay, if they're doing any kind of library services. Obviously, there's ebooks and stuff now too. I'm still a diehard fan of regular books, so we go and we get a lot of books every library trip. But yeah, create an environment of learning. And realize that learning can be anything. Like science can be helping cook dinner, helping make a batch of brownies. If you guys, have the stuff to do that right now. I know some grocery stores are limited in what they have. You can also just like, let's count how many coins you have in your piggy bank. That's math. Playing like the game of life and having to pay for things, or Monopoly, like that's learning how to count things. Playing Uno, if you have younger ones, colors and numbers. So those are lots of different kind of outside the box ways to do schooling. Schooling does not have to be, and I still lean more towards the traditional of sitting down with worksheets and stuff like that, but it also doesn't have to be worksheets and stuff like that if you don't have assignments from a teacher or whatever. Or you can we tried when I first started homeschooling, we tried a lot of times to do a set schedule and follow, like, from this time to this time is how long we'll do reading, and then from this time to this time is how we'll do this. But as I had more kids, that got more and more difficult to do. And so we basically decided we would get up, we would eat breakfast, and we would start school, and we would do school. That was our goal. Before we could do anything else, we would get school done. And so that's kind of the schedule that we did. Some kids can be done in an hour. Some kids take 3 to 4 hours. Some kids, my older ones now are in high school, and they're doing online videos. And so it takes them a little bit longer because they have a video per class. Sometimes it's as much as 5 to 6 hours. It just depends. But don't be afraid to let it look, curbside service, Shauna, yeah. Don't be afraid to let it look a little different. Don't be afraid to just watch, like, one of my favorite things to do for, like, history is to legit watch those, like, behind the scene, or what are they called? underneath like the castles and stuff like that, like underneath the streets of London, and like that's history, and you learn so much, and it's so cool. And I love history though, so and science is the same thing. Like we watched The Planet Earth on Netflix, and that was science. We learned a lot in just watching that every day as a family. So those are different things that you can do. Reading books together. Read what you have at home. Most people have something at home, even if they're not voracious readers like my family. But there's lots and lots of resources. If anybody has specific questions or is having like an issue, it can be very hard to transition. When I first started homeschooling, transitioning from being just mom to being mom and teacher was a very big transition. So that will be hard. Like the kids will not want to listen to you at first. They will not, or dad, if dad's doing school, because my husband does a lot of schooling now too. Going from parent, I guess I should say, to parent and teacher at the same time is a big transition. So making sure that you kind of are like, I know this is different, I know this is new, but let's work through this together kind of thing can really help in that regard. And I think that's pretty much all I can think about right now. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to comment below or send me a message and I will answer anything. I'm sure I've forgotten to say certain things. I should have made notes. I just really wanted to come on and just kind of support and encourage my friends who never wanted to homeschool or never thought they would homeschool and who are just like really frazzled and unsure of what to do. I'm here for you. I'm happy to help in any way I can. We all support and encourage you, especially in this difficult time where we're all kind of unsure of what the future will bring. So, I mean, I love you all on here, and I pray for all of you. I hope you guys are all doing okay, and stay safe, and wash your hands, especially the fingertips. And I will see you guys all soon in Facebook land. Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye.